going on, guys? Multiverse Corrupt here with yet another action figure review video, and today we're having a look at Batman Arkham City's Ra's al Ghul from Mcfarlane Toys. Starting off this video, guys, we're having a look at that gorgeous Mcfarlane DC Multiverse packaging, and it of course has that open face window to where you can see everything inside Ra's al Ghul, his sword, and the Build-A-Figure for Solomon Grundy, just his two nasty looking arms. DC Multiverse down here at the bottom, along with Ra's al Ghul's name. Flipping it over here to the side, we see Ra's al Ghul from Batman Arkham City, and then over here on the back, guys, is the product image of Solomon Grundy, and of course this is number 3 out of the wave. Going over here to the side, guys, not really much going on other than DC Multiverse and Ra's al Ghul's name again. And then, of course, down here at the bottom is the barcode for you barcode guys. With all that said, let's go ahead and rip Ra's al Ghul out of the packaging and see how he looks. Little is known about the early years of the nearly immortal Ra's al Ghul, the leader of the League of Assassins and whose name means the Demon's Head. He has lived for many centuries due to the Lazarus Pit, mythical bruise that restores his youth. A brilliant master of strategy and organization, Ra's goal is to save the Earth from its eventual ecological devastation by destroying most of its population. He recognizes Batman as both a worthy foe and possible ally, except that Batman cannot accept Ra's dystopic worldview. So right here, guys, is Ra's al Ghul out of the packaging, and with my first-hand impression, I think this is a major step up from the Catwoman that is in this wave. I do like this figure a lot more than I like that one. This one is definitely one of McFarlane's top-tier products, especially in this wave. Like, that Catwoman was just a complete letdown. But I will mention her again. This is all about Ra's al Ghul, and I just cannot wait to get into the detail of this character here. Now, of course, before we jump into the detail, guys, we do have to take a look at the accessories that Ra's comes with. He does, of course, come with the Build-A-Figure piece for Solomon Grundy. Go ahead and get these out of the way. We'll just look at one arm. The only other difference is the closed fist and open hand here. But I do kind of like the design of his arms. Does got some veins, little cut stitches right here. And the chain I'm not a big fan of. But we'll get into that when we get into Solomon Grundy's video. So let's go ahead and move both arms off to the side and jump into Ra's al Ghul's accessories. He does, of course, come with the Mcfarlane base, which we do have DC stamped right there on the front with his foot peg. And of course we have his trading card over here. Now I will say I have noticed that Ra's al Ghul's card is the only one that is from the figure. The other ones, Penguin's, Catwoman's, Batman, you will see, are from the game. Flipping over to the back though, guys, we do have the read up for Ra's al Ghul. You can go ahead and pause the screen and read it right now. Always give you guys that little bit of a second. And of course he does come with a sword from the video game, and me personally, I would have loved to see him come with a little more, maybe some shuriken, just something other than the sword. I do feel like they could have added a little bit more, but it is detailed, as you can see right here. It is sculpted very nicely, and the handle is done beautifully. Maybe just a little more color on the handle. And I do, of course, love down the blade here. He does have some scripture right here, some carvings, some engravings, whatever you want to call it. And it does look like it's been ripped straight out of the video game. So they really did do a fantastic job on this sword. With all that said, though, guys, let's go ahead and move away from the accessories and take a closer look at that detail. When it comes to the detail, guys, right here is Ra's al Ghul, and they did a fantastic job on his head sculpt. I will say they did do a little heavy on the eyeshadow, but it doesn't really bother me too much. I do know that in the game, in this picture right here, you can see he does wear a lot of like eyeshadow, but it's a blackish color, not this pinkish tint that they have on his face. But I digress from the subject. His hair does look fairly nice. It does look kind of ruffled and scruffled all over the place, like he's had a long night, but I am okay with it. I love the detail within the hair. Going down here to his body, guys, I will say they did use that rubber vest that they've been doing with some of their figures, not all of them. Me personally, I prefer the actual ab crunch, and you know, I love it when an ab crunch actually is useful, but I'll just have to suck it up and deal with it. It still looks like a great figure, and I guess they just didn't want to break up his little demon head right here on his chest, which looks nice. It is actually a pretty good logo, and you can actually feel it. It's been painted nicely, and it's been sculpted into his chest plate, so it actually kind of works out. Going down here to his waist, guys, it is his wrap. Just kind of goes all the way around, and it is done beautifully as well. Detailed, sculpted, painted perfectly. No gripes from me there. Going over here to his little arm tattoos, his dragon tattoos, I would have loved to see the green tattoos. When he comes straight out of the Lazarus pit in the video game, they glow. They are that neon, vibrant green when he comes out of the pit. So I personally would have preferred the green, but maybe they tried it. Maybe it was a little messy. I'm not really sure. I'll just have to deal with the black paint on it. It still looks nice. It was done beautifully. Just look at the dragon right there. It looks amazing. Going down here to his pants, guys, his pants are ruffled all over the place, so they do look very nice as well. Very little paint was done here, though, especially like when it comes to the pants. They are that green tint here, but then this is the same like grayish black that blends into the boots here. May probably put a little extra, maybe some deep black on his boots. It looks like a different color here now that I'm actually looking at it, but it just kind of blends. It kind of just fades into it, so it doesn't really stand out to me. And when it comes to the green as well, maybe a little brighter green. I remember him being brighter inside the video game. Just not too much, just a little brighter. But with all that said though, guys, let's go ahead and zoom out away from Raish's face and take a closer look at his size, articulation, and scale him up with some other figures. As for how tall Ra's al Ghul stands, guys, he does stand at about looks like a 7.5 almost. He's almost pushing it to 7.5. So due to his hair, he is a little bit of a taller figure. Let's go ahead and take him off of his base down here and move him closer to the camera and see some of that articulation. When it comes to his head articulation, his head does look up about that far and he looks down about that far. Thanks to his ball joint, guys, his head does rotate all the way around and he does get some head tilt in there as well. When it comes to his arm articulation, his arm goes out about that far, and it does go all the way around, but he does have a bit of a shoulder pad, so I would watch out for that. As you saw there, it kind of gets a little stuck. He does, of course, have that lovely bicep swivel right here on his bicep, and he does have double hinged elbows as well. When it comes to his wrist articulation, his wrists are on that hinge and peg, so it does rotate all the way around, and you can hinge it up and down and side to side. Now going to his ab crunch, guys, it is very lackluster thanks to the rubber vest, and this is why I don't like the rubber vests on the figures. I do think that somebody like Ra's al Ghul should have been giving an ab crunch because he is very agile. He's able to twist and bend and kick up and flip and flop and do all kinds of ninja stuff. They're not letting us do that with his ab crunch being blocked by a rubber vest. There is some in there. I've seen some videos where they can get him to go a little bit, but I just can't get mine to budge at all. And it makes me nervous because I can't see it, so I'm not going to risk breaking it. Going to his waist, guys, his waist is on a swivel, so it rotates all the way around. And as for his legs, they kick out about that far. They kick back about that far, and he is good to get some of those Ra's al Ghul ninja kicks in. His knees are on a double hinge joint as well, and as for his ankles, they do articulate down. They articulate up. He does have toe articulation, and he does, of course, have the beautiful ankle pivot. As for the size comparison, guys, here we have Ra's al Ghul next to the Arkham City Catwoman. Terrible figure, but I will say that the size does work. I do like the size comparison here. She is supposed to be smaller than him, so it works perfectly for me. Right here, guys, we do have Ra's al Ghul scaled up to the Batman Arkham Asylum, and it is a little customized. I did switch out the legs, but I digress. It still works for me in terms of height, with Batman being just a little bit taller than Ra's. Moving out of the DC Universe now, guys, we do have the last Ronin from NECA Toys next to the Mcfarlane Ra's al Ghul, and I do think that the scale works perfectly. And I would love to see these two go at it hand to hand, sword to sword. And then last but not least, guys, here we have Ra's al Ghul next to the Marvel Legends Deadpool, and I would love to see these two go at it. I'm just saying. But in terms of scale, they do not work together, unfortunately. Alrighty, guys, and there you have it. Another action figure review video in the books on my channel for you guys to enjoy. When it comes to my review on Ra's al Ghul, I'm going to have to give him a solid 7 out of 10. I really would have given him just a little bit higher, maybe like an 8, maybe a 9. But due to them having the rubber vest, I really just can't overlook it. I do not like the rubber vest. But everything else on this guy is pretty amazing. He looks fantastic. I can't really say too much about it other than I really would have loved, some shurikens in there, just something else other than just his sword. With all that said though, guys, we are still on the road to 100. We are currently 94 strong. So go ahead and smack that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment down in the comment section below and I will see you in the next video. Later.